Sylvia, if we're going to look at the career of any writer, the first question should be, how did you start?
I think you'll find that most writers have always had a love of words and love of reading, and that's how it's been with me. But I've had to work all my life and not had time to write. You do need a lot of time, and it really wasn't until I was middle-aged that I joined a writers' group, and off I went. Started writing articles, and I was quite lucky in being asked to write a regular column. And if you start that sort of thing, you have to carry on with it. And I loved it, and I still do. I'm up to 1,200 pieces in about 15 years.
So when it comes to your columns, are you given a brief, or does it come from what you see around you?
I have about 4 different types of column. I write about history, and I write about people and places, and I write about clubs and society, and I write about gardening. And I've done about 14 of these for various magazines and newspapers, including Telegraph and the Daily Mail.
Like any good writer and journalist, you're a dab hand at the shorthand.
Yes, I learnt to write quickly at a very early age. I didn't stay on. I had to leave school early to earn money, and learnt to type fairly fast, and went to work for Hansard in both the Lords and the Commons, and stayed there for more or less 25 years as a part-time person, raising a family in between. And then I became a freelance secretary and moved around quite a lot. And I've used a lot of that experience in the writing I do now, particularly my books. I'm on book 7 at the moment, which is about the history of the Society of Women Writers and Journalists.
So in what way have you used that experience for your writing?
Whenever any editor wants a particular subject, it's relatively easy to find, to think back about what I've done, particularly for the women's magazines. I write for the Lady magazine, and sometimes I write for the OK magazine when I get a celebrity that I think people will be interested in.
And what would people say are the people who look at your work in columns, for example, what are the compliments that people give to you?
Well, it's the variety. They can't understand how you can put the blinkers on and then go and learn about a particular subject. For instance, I was asked to do a series on sports people. I don't play sport, but I do know a lot of people in the business that can tell me about football or netball, or in the case of Fatima Whitbread, a bit about her life. And people are
Is there any such thing as a typical working day as a writer?
Not as a freelance, no. You have your columns. I have 2 columns a week that I have to get out by the end of the week, and I've usually thought about that, and I take photographs to illustrate them. So you do have to think ahead. I get up fairly early, which is good, and get the best bit of the day, and usually go out to interview face to face if I can, but if I can't, I'll do it over the telephone or by internet. I ask questions by internet and get the answers back, hopefully that day.
I get the feeling you're quite a meticulous researcher and writer. Would that be accurate?
Have to be for history, has to be right. Now and again you do make mistakes, but on the whole it's lots and lots of reading and going to London to the British Library, where I get everything I need. They know me and I work ahead, order the books, and they're ready when I get there.
You're a passionate advocate of writers' circles, aren't you?
Oh,
what are the
yes.
benefits of a writers' circle?
Oh, I think they're great. You get advice, you get critique. I'm saying that as a vice president of Brentwood Writers' Circle, but you do get help. Usually they're very supportive, and if you need to know where to go, how to send off work, there'll be somebody in the circle, and I'm talking about all circles, through Essex. They're the ones I know best, yes.
And are they for all ages?
Oh, yes, yes. We don't go below, say, 15, because you're reading out work and some of it's sometimes not suitable for youngsters to hear. But yes, we go right the way through. We used to have a vice chairman who was 94, and he loved it, loved coming to the circle. That's in Brentwood.
The Essex Book Festival.
Yes.
You're a patron of the Essex Book Festival and passionate about it. Are you excited about this year?
Oh, I am. Number one, because it's an honour to be asked to be patron. And I've been with them from the start, 10 years ago. And it was run then on a shoestring. Now it's a bit more sophisticated. We have people such as Melvyn Bragg, Louis de Bernier, Roy Hattersley, Joan Bakewell, and loads of other writers, some of them just bringing out their first novels. It's so exciting, it's lovely, and it all happens on the 5th of March.
And what's important, would you say, is not only are there readings in Chelmsford and Colchester, but from East Tilbury, Harlow,
yes,
all across the county.
Yes, and your 3 in Thurrock, because that's very important to you. And you've got 3 super writers coming to Thurrock, and certainly worthwhile booking tickets anyway. It's all going to be relayed on BBC Essex too, so you get a regular update on what's happening through that. As I say, folklore, I'm just looking at which country, because Essex was very much a place to do with witches. It's always been with us, witchcraft. It's entwined within Essex folklore. Some years ago, one of the country's leading authorities on witchcraft, that was Eric Maple, very famous man, he said, a mere broomstick's ride from central London and an even shorter air hop from Stansted and Southend airports lies the Essex witch country, an extensive low-lying area between the River Thames and the River Stour, which separates Essex from Suffolk. Many apparently unexceptional Essex towns and villages that are now within London's commuter belt were coloured by a terrifying fear and superstition. Why Essex in particular became the hub of witchcraft activity 300 years ago is uncertain, but we know that during Tudor times Londoners experienced many bouts of plague and sickness. As some curative white witchcraft was believed to be found in some Essex villages not too far from the capital, many sought relief from the healers and wise women known to live in the county. Now this is just about witchcraft, but I have gone right the way through the county, right up to Suffolk, to pick out things that again come under the banner of folklore. And there's just so much of it, the phenomena, all the different aspects of fire and water and ghosties. I mean, they're all here in the book, including again cures and remedies to get over this bad, as I say, the witch aspect that we're so famous for.